Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ray Clifford out in Ohio, Ralph Schrager up in Boston. We're about a half hour removed from the Jets losing in overtime 32-26. One of those games where if you've been a Jet fan as long as us, you just knew it was coming. You just didn't know how. And there were a number of things. We'll get into it. Ray was watching it with the group of Jet fans out in near Columbus, Ohio, and Ralph was watching it solo up in Massachusetts. Ray, how you doing?
Yeah, about usual. Par for the course on this season, and just being a Jet fan in general.
Okay, and Ralph, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just got a text from my football guru and life coach, Matt Lewis, who said once again the Jets have found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's just remarkable. Every
It
week
is.
it's like a different scenario, but they are amazing at it, I have to say. And Marty, I want to say one shout out to you for all you Jet fans. Marty, our host, when the Jets took the lead 23 to 15, he sent me a text, and I still have it. Put your money on Miami right now. This is set up perfectly for them.
Well, I don't bet, but I'll tell Ray too. I called my son Michael Schupak, who has one of these accounts, I guess, with FanDuel, whatever. I said, Mike, I'm just curious. This is like right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, end of the third. What are the odds now if I bet on Miami? And he looked it up, and the money line was 185, which means if you put 100 down, I
Yeah,
guess
it's almost 2 to 1 you're getting. Yeah.
almost 2-1. But he said,
Mm.
Dad, I'm not going to let you bet. I won't do it. I said, that's all right. I'm not going to bet. And meanwhile,
Should
we
have told me. I'd have bet.
What
oh,
about Michael? Didn't he take the bet?
no. He doesn't. He looks for more sure things. It was, I just want to start
Are you
because
kidding? That's a short thing.
that is much a sure thing.
That's as sure as they get.
But I just want to start that it's like you look at the two different coaches, and we're going to get into Jeff Ulbrich when he put his headphones back on after we weren't sure as fans if he knew the rules. But I'm just go back to last week at the end of the second quarter when it was closing out. I mean, the Jets wasted the time. Like I think Ralph said there were like 52 seconds, and they had all their timeouts.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't move. And you look at Mike McDaniel
Exactly.
at
I
the end
do.
of the second
Yep.
quarter, and I'm going to tell you, the New York Jets, forever and ever, except going back to Parcells, have coached and played scared. They're not proactive. They like play not to lose. We've heard that expression over and over again. But the perfect analogy, if you look at Mike McDaniel closing out the first half, knowing he's not going to get the ball, and they ended up getting a field goal. And last week, Jeff Ulbrich, who we all know he's over his head, he didn't know what to do. And I just want to say another thing, then I'm going to turn it. I want Ralph's comments and we'll hear Ray's. I was sickened like about 5 minutes into the game when I saw this guy Kinlaw get this personal foul penalty, 15 yards. I was like jumping up and down, screaming, pull that bum off the field. There is no accountability on this team. It's just incredible. And the amount of penalties we have, which reflects our discipline, is beyond belief. It really is. It's just incredible. I think they said we lead the league in penalties and we're second in uh,
Defensive penalties.
defensive penalties. It's just beyond belief. And by the end of the game, you know what I was thinking, Ray? I really want them to get Vrabel. I really do. Do what you
I
can to
He was
get
always one of my top picks.
Do whatever you can to get Mike Vrabel, have him have a say in who the general manager is, but get some gosh darn discipline. We have some talent on the team. We can't get a pass rush. And I just want to say it doesn't matter if the quarterback is Kyler Murray, if it's Tua, or if it's even Jim Zorn going back years. We make every one of these quarterbacks look like 10-year Pro Bowls. it's just incredible.
Anthony Richardson,
Anthony Richardson, you just name it. Every time
Geno Smith. It's
well,
like,
every quarterback we
Jim
play,
Craig.
every quarterback we play becomes the offensive player of the week. It's just, I never saw anything like it. So, Ralph, we'll start with you. Give me your comments, then we'll go to Ray. Go ahead.
it's so funny you mentioned that about the timeouts because I watched McDaniel do that and I said, there's a guy who understands how to use timeouts. And I have to tell you, if Miami, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And I think there might be, if McDaniel gets fired, he can be our offensive coordinator any day of the week. I would take him. I really like that guy's talent as far as that goes. Uh,
He knows what's going on. Every player on the field from sideline to sideline. He's a little awkward. He looks like he's a nerdy type, but he's really a brilliant guy. And it was
Yeah,
just
I think maybe OC is his spot. Maybe I don't know if he is, a head coach or not. He's hadn't done horribly, but he's definitely to me a top flight OC.
right. All right, Ray, I want your comments. And another thing, Ray, and I wanted to comment on this. I mean, I was going crazy about how Tua ended up with his uniform was cleaner at the end of the game than it was at the beginning. And the announcers at one time was saying the Jets, they're not sacking him, but they're making him hurry.
Yeah, I didn't see that
What
at
were they
all.
watching?
I don't know. These are these announcers who don't see the Jets week in and
And-
week out. Some of the things they say are so
oh,
off base. They don't even know what they're
horrible.
talking about. It's like,
And their left tackle, Armstead, he went out in the first quarter, and they had a rookie starting at left tackle that he probably couldn't even shine Olu Fashano's shoes. But meanwhile, even with a rookie, we couldn't get anything on this guy. He had all day, and this guy was so accurate, it was ridiculous. Go ahead, Ray, your comments.
Well, um, the first half was irritating, but it was also surprising we were still in the game. I thought Miami was going to blow us out of the water, but most of my irritation came at the end of the game. The mistakes they made that could have probably could have ended the game without having to go to overtime. Aaron, the last two drives he held on the ball way too much. He was doing it earlier too, but especially at the end, it's like he forgot what a time clock in his head was. He doesn't know how to dump a ball, get rid of it. Um, but on the last drive, I was irritated when they threw to Devontae Adams, and he didn't just immediately cut to the inside. So the guy, if he tackled him, would tackle him inbounds. Now, I would say too, if I'm the Jets, I'm screaming at the ref, going, "Why isn't the clock still running?" He was stopped and tackled inbounds without moving forward. He just stood there and the guy threw him out of bounds. Why didn't they keep the clock running? Because once you're forward progress, you see him do it all the time. Guys get out of bounds and they keep the clock running because he's not going forward. And they didn't keep the clock running. They let the clock stop. And that to me was the biggest play at the end of the game. That and forget number 9, who all of a sudden became Jerry Rice in the overtime. If we had stayed in bounds on that play, it had probably gotten down to about 20 seconds before we would have had to kick the field goal. We wouldn't have kicked the ball in bounds on the kickoff. So they would have had to go in 20 seconds and no timeouts. They would have had to get into field goal range. They still might have, but that would have given us a hell of a lot better shot to hang on to the lead. I was just irritated by a lot of the little minute details that the
Right.
Jets seem to not seem to grasp like other teams.
Right.
So I don't like the coach of Miami for all the reasons you said, but he would be a great offensive coordinator. But when they show him, I want to punch him in the face when I see him on the sideline.
Right. He's a little bit of a wise guy too.
He's
But that's all right.
it's like a 2-year-old yelling at what's his name from the Raiders the other week.
Oh yeah. Max Crosby. Yeah.
Yeah, Max
But
Crosby.
I want to point out, Ray, and I'm going to say something. I don't know if I really believe it, but right before we went on the air, I was watching Jeff Ulbricht's press conference, which it reminds me of Rich Kotite. I mean, you could just see the same thing over and over again. But the question was asked about the kickoff, at the end of the fourth quarter, he maintains that he wanted the kicker, Carlson, to kick it into the end zone. Now, I don't know if I buy that because he actually, one kick before that, he didn't kick it in. And to me, it's so important. And if the Jets, like if, who's our special teams, Boyer?
Yeah.
Boyer.
If Boyer told him, don't kick it in the end zone because we want to run time off the clock, that's horrible. That's malpractice. I don't want them having a chance to run it back. And that, to me, that's what lost them the game when they got to midfield.
Did just by chance, did anybody watch the Clemson SMU game last night?
No, I know about it that they came
Okay.
back.
Well, that kickoff was almost identical to the
Right.
one in that game, and it led to Clemson winning the field goal in regulation. Same thing. The guy ran it out to almost midfield, and from there it went wherever. And that was it. If we'd have tackled him back around the 20 or 25, I think we probably had a good chance of hanging on. But when he got out over the 40, I'm like, oh, we're doomed.
Right, right. And Ralph, it was some controversy this week because J.R. Reed was tweeting about,
DJ.
DJ Reed was, who's J.R. Reed?
Jerry Reed, North Carolina
The
Tar
Knicks.
Heels. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't he a New York Knick?
He might have been for a cup of coffee. He was a big star in high school, but he never
Right.
really panned out.
And meanwhile, Ralph, I think I was going to tell you off the air, Lutheran is like rated number 2 in the country in high school
Oh,
basketball.
really?
Yeah.
I figured I didn't think any of those kind of schools could stand with those prep schools anymore.
Yeah. I'll send you the ranks. But anyway, it was, what was I saying? DJ Reed, you got to know that when you start complaining, if there's a borderline call and these referees are able to think quick enough, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. 2 huge penalties on him today, pass interference. One was a little bit gray. Ray, you're
Yeah.
pretty good with the penalties. What do you think about that second call?
The one down inside the 5.
Yeah.
He gave him a little shove right before he turned inside. I thought he made a good defensive play at first, but as ticky tack as the call was, it wasn't egregious. He did give him a little shove. I don't know that it affected the play, but it was the right call.
It was one of those plays where like you can make a call on every play, but they don't. But they decided to on that one for whatever reason.
Right.
They might decide to call it one time, and the next time they don't. Same.
But with the Jets, it's so predictable when there's a play like that in a big moment. I'm just sitting there going, "Where's the flag? Where's the flag?" Okay, there it is.
Right. Ralph, did you see my text when I wrote to you that Braylon Allen was going over the right side?
Yeah, Max Mitchell missed the block.
Max Mitchell, he had hit that block. There was no one there. They ended up with a field goal. Braylon Allen, I thought he had a pretty good game. I thought Isaiah Davis had a pretty good game. He could have walked into the end zone.
Yeah.
But Max Mitchell, and we're going to need another tackle next year because I saw Morgan Moses in the first quarter, and I wasn't sure he was starting. I didn't see the number. That's why, Ralph, I texted.
Yeah, he was playing hurt with one arm, but
they had to replace him. And Max Mitchell right away was doing better, but then he missed that block. Which
let me talk about the kickoff. Now, the Jets were kicking it off in play most of the game. And I kind of like that because it seems like nobody ever returns it. On that play, yeah, I agree. It should have been kicked out of the end zone, but he had him cornered. That was really awful coverage.
Horrible.
I mean, it was a disgrace. He ran around how many guys? I mean, they should have had him back at about the 15. It was really the perfect kick.
Yeah.
But of course, they just at that one moment they decided to screw up the coverage.
Right. I could sit here and tell you both. It doesn't matter where they return it; they would have won the game anyway.
You might be right. I mean,
I know.
Just one pass over the middle for 28 yards, wide open. Again, Marty, why aren't our receivers ever wide open? Well, Garrett Wilson actually had one play. Yeah, one play. Yeah, that was.
That was brutal to watch when they showed the replay and showed how open he was in the middle of the field. And it's just like,
Oh, that
Aaron.
one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the one on the sideline when he
Oh
caught the
yeah.
ball and he had to keep
Yeah.
both feet in bounds. I wasn't even sure the first one was in bounds,
Uh,
but
Yeah.
Right. And I'll go through the scoring in just a second, but I don't know if you guys agree, but as good as Aaron Rodgers looked, he was 27 for 39, 39 yards, one TD. I still think when he throws, he's like an instant behind in his timing. He just seems a little late in what he does. His footwork was great today. Okay. And I just want to give kudos, Ray. I know you couldn't stand that misdirection play when they were going backwards
I didn't like it.
fourth quarter, but I thought that Todd Downing, I think he called a pretty good game. I think he's a pretty good offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a problem with Todd. I just think that specific call was
Right,
poorly timed. I think at other times, it's worth the chance, but when you're in that mode, you got to stick with what you know works and stay straight ahead and not call plays that if they don't work can get blown up for a big loss and screw up a whole drive.
right, right.
Marty, you talked about Rodgers holding on to the ball too much. You're right. I mean, he's at this point in his career, he's accomplished so much that I think he feels like he wants to get something out of it, instead of living to do another play. He took that sack when he could have actually screwed them up completely. And he had so many chances to throw the ball away.
He
So I
did.
think that's a problem for him that I just think it's an arrogance thing on his part. He just feels like I can make something out of
Right,
anything.
right. And give him credit. There was a play. Jeremy Ruckert dropped it. It was right in his hand. There was another play. I think Tyler Conklin dropped one
I don't
too.
know if Tyler kind of Allen did early in the game, but yeah, the Rucker one, I feel badly for that guy. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen with
Not
him.
going to work out. He's
Well,
I mean, I don't think they're going to keep him. I think even like Uboa, I don't think he's going to be on the team. I
I
mean,
hope not.
trouble.
He doesn't show me much
Yeah,
either. And he had a big penalty today.
yeah,
Yeah.
third down penalty. And it's funny. I was telling you guys before we got on the plays that sum up the Jets when Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson were doing a cross pattern. They ran into each other and they fell. And also when our coach, Jeff Ulbrich, everyone looked, and there was comments on the internet that when the game was over, he started putting his headphones back on. It's like
Right.
he didn't know the overtime rule.
My initial thought was when I saw him do that is he must think that Jonnu Smith didn't catch the ball cleanly. Let me see the replay. And then I watched the replay and it's not even
Oh,
close.
it's
And I'm
not
going,
close.
oh my God. And Marty, you say those typify the season. Don't forget the beanbag play. Remember where he drops the beanbag in the game and actually saved
Yeah,
the touchdown.
that
The
worked out.
first good play the Jets made all year.
Yeah, no, it's true. But very quickly, and Ralph, I got a question for you. I start telling Ray prior off the air, but it doesn't help if the Jets get the best coach in the world. They have to get great assistants. And the reason I want them to get Vrabel is because they could talk to him now. They could hire him. Probably they wouldn't hire him right now. They could hire him like the second to the last game, and he could start getting his assistants. But over the course of the Jets, let's say the last 50 years, you always go by the coaching tree. How many assistant coaches on the Jets ever became head coach? Okay, besides Bill Belichick, let's say. And I thought of uh, I thought of two guys. So I'm going to read the stats, and maybe you come up with these two.
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony
Yes.
Lynn, that's a third guy. Yeah, okay,
And like this is going back how far?
pretty far.
Who
Okay,
was the one that was right after Michaels? Joe Michaels.
well, I that's one of them.
Yeah.
Bud
The other one,
Carson, Bud
Bud Carson.
Carson, and the other one I thought of was Mike Pettin, but he had
Oh yeah.
Mike Penn.
he had to go to
I
Buffalo before he went to Cleveland.
don't know how that
Yeah.
happened. That was
Yeah,
kind of
but
a
you look at some of
fluke.
these coaching trees, it's so important. And the problem with the Jets, and I heard Brian Costello talk about it, and he says, I've been covering this team. He says, I can't tell you how many times I feel like puking up when these head coaches hire their friends and everything, and they
Hmm.
don't hire the best guys out there. It's just ridiculous. You know,
Well, the reason that one of the reasons the Jets never get their guys hired is because their teams stink and coach and teams want to hire, assistant coaches from winning teams. But we know that that doesn't always work too. Belichick had a ton of guys and practically none of them worked out. Bill O'Brien did well at Penn State. Brian Flores might be good, but the vast majority of them were busts. So you just don't know. Parcells' guys have done really well. So who knows what the reason is?
Right. We'll see. Anyway, the score 32-26 at the end of the first quarter, 6-3 Miami. They missed an extra point.
32-26. What does that mean?
That was the final score.
Oh.
In the second
I think
quarter,
you said the first quarter.
no,
So
no,
wow, that's a lot of points.
no. The first quarter was 6-3. Halftime, it was, I guess it was 15-13. Miami. I was sick to my stomach when they went in that drive. I knew they were going to do something because I said, boy, this coach, he knows how to use his timeouts. That's Bill Belichick. Third quarter, our best quarter, we scored 10 points. They had none. And I text to Ralph Ray. I said, did our defense actually make adjustments that work?
Marty, I was going to text you back saying, don't speak too soon.
Right.
But I decided I don't want to jinx it.
Well, anyway, fourth quarter, they outscored us 11-3. Of course, they scored a touchdown and the 2-point conversion, they could have did it with their eyes closed. And then they got the heads and tails, the coin flip, and they went right down and scored a touchdown. 32-26. Quickly, I mentioned Rodgers, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis. They were a breath of fresh air. I thought they both ran hard. They did well. I think it was one of them dropped the pass.
Yeah, Braylon Allen dropped one.
Braylon,
Well, Davis, but that was a bad throw by Rodgers. And I remember the announcer Trent Green said, you got to flatten that route out. That was a third down, and he was about 3 yards short of the first down anyway. So it was.
right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the point of that play was. Yeah.
Yep. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 114 yards. Davante Adams, 9 for 109, 1 TD. He was very good. Braylon Allen, 4 for 38. Tyler Conklin, 3 for 33. Isaiah Davis, 3 for 27. Alan Lazard, 1 for 18, and that was a very important
It
reception.
was, but Lazard had 2 penalties, so welcome
Oh
back,
my
Alan
God.
Lazard.
He's been doing that all freaking
I
year.
know. It's unbelievable. We really missed that, It's like,
Right.
it's good to see him back in form.
I don't know about you guys, and I kind of go heads and tails with this guy, but I got so sick of these announcers talking about Jamie Sherwood. He had a good game. He had actually 18 tackles, which was good. But I don't know, a lot of his tackles are downfield, and I don't know if it's because it's his fault on coverage or whatever. But he did have a good game. Brandon Eccles, 10 tackles. Chuck Clark, 7 tackles. I didn't think he was that good. DJ Reed,
Eccles started out good, Ray
yeah,
guy Eccles, but toward the end, he like everyone else in the defensive backfield was getting burned.
right.
Yeah.
DJ Reed, 6 tackles. Jalen Mills, 4. Solomon Thomas, 3. Ashton Davis, 3. I don't even remember him on the field. Hassan Reddick, 2. He had one great tackle for loss, if I remember.
Yep, that pays for the whole year for him.
Yeah, Michael Carter, 2. Michael Carter, I think he's been a disappointment since he signed that
I think
contract.
I don't know. My hunch is that he's working. Didn't he have like a sprain earlier in the year?
Something, yeah.
Yeah, it's just been lingering the whole year.
I thought Quincy Williams had one of his weakest games today. He only had
Yeah,
2.
he was invisible. Yeah.
He was invisible. Bubble wrap man, Ralph's guy, Tony Adams, 2 tackles. And
It might
Isaiah,
have been special teams.
1
Yeah.
tackle. Queen Williams, 1. I think we need more from Queen Williams, And he got hit with a penalty. Was it roughing the passer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way it was late.
Javon Kinlaw had 1 tackle. I can't stand that guy.
I mean, he gets such childish penalties. He and
Yeah.
Irv Charles, those two guys. I mean, these 300-pound guys pushing another 300-pound guy. What is that going to do? It looks so silly. It looks like kids in a recess in a playground. It's
Right. And guess who played the whole game? He had no tackles, solo tackles, and no assist.
Michael
Michael
Clemens.
Clemens.
Michael Clemens. He had
He's right on the inside. Yeah, he's
It's just unbelievable. And in the winning play, I think I texted you, Ralph. He never got past the line of
yeah.
scrimmage. It's
You know,
unbelievable.
you got
He doesn't
guys
know what the
like
word penetration is. I don't
I
know.
know guys like him, and I think now they got a crush on this kid Eric Watts who does nothing out there. I've watched him for 5 games now. He's just another player. But they get crushes on these guys, and they just stick with them. I thought Braden McGregor was much more effective than Eric Watts, and I don't know what the deal is.
Well, Ralph, Brady McGregor wasn't active today. Neither was the fourth best receiver in last year's draft, Malachi Corley.
That's right. Early in the game, I was thinking, Malachi, by the way, who's number 34? I saw some number 34 in the Jets offensive backfield for one play. And I was going, who the heck is that?
That's the guy that returned
Oh, the guy who was the star of the game last week.
Ini
Right.
Nwaku, Nwangwu. So, the Jets typically lose a typical Jets game. I just want to go over a few notes I made. I made a note, Ray, you'll like this. Rogers got sacked, I think, one time in the fourth quarter. I made a note to Ralph. I said the Jets offensive line, they can't handle stunts. If I was a defensive coordinator, every passing down, I would put stunts in there. They just can't handle it.
Yeah, it's all communication. And you're right. They're terrible at it.
Right. They kept
I
making.
will say though, this game I felt like is the best game our offensive line has played as far as protecting Rodgers for the most part. There were a lot of plays he sat back there with plenty of time.
Yeah.
I
And
haven't seen
decent
that.
against the run. Not great, but okay
Yeah,
against the run.
I,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, on the run. Yeah.
I also
yeah.
want to mention, I think Olo Fashanu had one penalty.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I think Ralph and I spoke about it. For all Jet fans, I think they made a mistake not taking Brock Bowers. I think you're all wrong. I think Olu Fashanu was the right pick. Putting him in,
Definitely.
go ahead, Ray.
I said definitely was the right pick because
Yeah,
another specialty guy, a receiver, running back, whatever, is worthless if you don't have an offensive line.
right, right. He has been getting better and better since they put him at the position that they drafted him at. When he was at right tackle, he had problems. In my mind, I think they should draft a right tackle next year. They're talking about drafting a quarterback in the first round. I think that would be such a big mistake at this point. I really do. Uh,
Classic Woody Johnson move. He'll draft Sanders and then hire his father as the head coach.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Who does?
Oh boy, that would be a fun season.
But would that be Woody? I mean, it's the next line
Yeah,
after Brett Favre, Tim Tebow, Aaron
Right.
right.
Rodgers. You got to make a splash.
Yeah,
Hey,
Jersey fan.
Ray, I have a question for you. I texted Ralph. A game like today, I thought the running was okay. The offensive line opened up some holes. Do you think when the Jets get in the red zone, they get too pass happy?
Um,
Yeah, go on, Ray.
yeah, I think a little bit, but I think also they don't seem as pass happy with Brees in the game as they are like they were today. Today, I felt like they didn't run it enough several times. But with this team, it's like anytime there's short yardage, we don't get it. So it's hard to be too upset if they pass instead of run.
I'm going to tell you guys something. You might not agree. At this point, we have what, 4 games to go? I would
That
shut
many?
yeah, I know. I would shut Brees Hall down. I like what I see from these two running backs. I would shut them down and let's see how these guys do. Let's let them get their feet wet. Let them learn how to hit holes. Let them learn how to pick up blitzing. This is the time to do it. I really believe that. So that's what I would do. I think we're going to close it out. Ralph, let's hear your last comments, and then Ray will hear yours, and then I'll close it out with something else. Go ahead.
Who are they playing next week?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Whoa, this could be like, well, the Trevor Lawrence Bowl. Trevor Lawrence didn't play today and they won, I think.
They
did.
win. Mac Jones.
They did.
10-3, some ridiculously low score. Yeah. Well, I think it's, I thought maybe today, but Marty, sobered me up when he said, no, they're going to lose this game. But I think it's getting to the point where they're going to start winning some meaningless games to screw up the draft selection
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
This is how the Jets operate. So I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping that Woody Johnson gets sent to like Southeast Asia or somewhere like that, far, far away. Maybe I was thinking, he could Elon Musk, since he's in the administration, he can put Woody on a rocket and he can be our ambassador to Mars or something like
Right,
that.
right. Ray, I want to hear your closing thoughts, but Ray, I want to make your day right now because the Vikings won 42-21. Sam Darnold was 22 for 28, 347 yards and 5 TD passes. So,
I think we have every bit the receiving core that Minnesota has. We just don't have the offensive line. And if we did, Stam could still be here.
Ray, let me ask you this because Olu's good. I'm not saying he's great. He's a rookie. Pittman is good. Okay. Is Vera Tucker, did he take a step back at this point?
I, I think he did, but I'm not giving up on that guy. He's, some of the others, like we need a right tackle, and I think we need one more guard, and I think this will be a solid offensive
Yeah,
line.
don't forget he's coming off an Achilles, so you got
Yeah,
to. I think
yeah,
he'll be better next year.
yeah.
Well, Ralph, you
You too.
bring up a, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ray.
No, I was saying the same. I think so too.
But
Yeah,
Ralph, you bring up a good point Ray and I were discussing because what do you do? And we were talking about Jermaine Johnson. What do you do with Jermaine Johnson, Elijah Vera Tucker coming off injuries when their rookie contract runs out? Do you try to re-sign them or you let them walk?
I would try and re-sign both of them, not to long, monstrous contracts. Maybe it's a blessing. They can negotiate something a little more reasonable because they are coming off injuries and not great seasons.
yeah,
But yeah, Johnson's a year younger, so we don't have to worry about that one quite yet. But
Right.
uh, no, I would definitely, you definitely want to keep any offensive lineman who has a chance of being good. Let me ask you something. If you get your wish, Marty, Mike Vrabel, and Vrabel says, I want Todd Downing as my OC, would you be okay with
Oh,
that?
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I like what I see. Even
Yeah,
even
I think I agree. Yeah.
some of the things I disagree with what he does. To me, it's like night and day between him and Hackett. I blame a lot of it on Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what anyone says. His timing is so off. You said it last week, Ralph. Even his passes he completes, he throws behind these receivers. Today was one of his better games, probably his best game since the Patriot game. But I don't want him back next year. I just don't want him back. He he did what look, it didn't work out. We had him
Yeah.
and it was a good try. Go ahead, Ralph.
It's going to be interesting though, because he clearly wants to come back. Look, the guy likes to play football. All right, I don't blame him. You only live once, and but do we want him?
Did you see now I know I mentioned that cap hell doesn't bother me anymore because teams get out of it, but
hmm,
he comes back in 25. I think the number
46 million?
I think it's 69 million for 26.
69
It's
million.
26. Yeah. I think it's
Ooh,
46 for next year. I think it's 69. I could be wrong with that. So, Ray, do you want him back?
not really. Um, but I think he will. So I think we're kind of stuck with him.
Right.
But and maybe um, because I just think that maybe that year off didn't do him too much good. Maybe he'll come back more like the old Rodgers, where he's more comfortable if he's protected better.
Yeah, and he's a year away from the Achilles too. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
my thought. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, well, at 41, he's going to, be better than he was last year. That seems kind of counterintuitive, but
yeah.
maybe it's possible.
I
And I
think
want go
the
ahead, Ray.
line is the key. The line is always, for me anyway, the line has always been and always will be the key, because if you look at our quarterback issues over the last decade, it's always been these guys have no time to do anything. They all look like they have happy feet. They're just looking any way they can. Let me get this ball out of my hand as soon as I can. None of them have looked comfortable in the last, since 15 with Fitz magic.
None of
Um,
them have looked like Tua looked today. Like he
Right.
sat down and had a three-course meal, deciding
Yeah.
who to pass to.
Now Aaron did have a few plays today where he had a lot of time,
And he couldn't
and
pull
then
the trigger in a lot of them.
no,
Yeah, it was like
and
because
well, like
as
you said,
Marty's mantra, our receivers are always covered, and the other team's receivers are always wide open.
Just
and when they
right.
are wide open is when Rodgers is running for his life. So
I want to point out to Jets fans because I was guilty of this, saying, no one's going to want to come to the Jets to coach, but you're going to get some good candidates too, because besides the Woody Johnson factor, and I think he's going to take care of that. I think they're going to have a strong general manager. The Jets have a pretty good core roster of good young talent, and that's going to be attractive to a new coach too. Now they have to build right. Again, I don't want them to go for a quarterback. I like the idea of having a bridge quarterback maybe, and maybe drafting one or two in the later rounds. But I just want to tell Jet fans they're going to get someone, and I really believe, and I like Rick Spielman, who's part of the select committee, that they'll get someone that is going to be good. He did the job last year for Washington, and I think I think he's a good man. And I know for a fact that he's going to re-speak to a lot of guys that didn't get jobs last year. So a lot of homework's been done. I know Mike Tannenbaum called him aboard just for that fact. So I'm pretty confident we can get a couple of good guys. Anything else before we
Yeah,
close?
yeah, Marty, you talk about a bridge quarterback. A funny thing happens with bridge quarterbacks. Sometimes they turn out to be your quarterback, like Jared Goff was just a sort of
exactly.
throw in. Sam Darnold's supposed to be a bridge for J.J. McCarthy. Geno Smith was supposed. I mean, if you get a good team and a good coach, um, a bridge quarterback can be all you need. And by the way, boy, Sean Payton made us look bad, huh? He really he knows what he's doing, and
He
Yeah,
does. Sure, he's a great coach.
he gets the most out of everybody, and
I
especially
he,
quarterbacks.
yeah, and I remember when he came out and he said that Bo Nix, he gave him like 15 or 20 scenarios, and he aced every single one of them. Came back the day after or something, and he says I can work with this guy. But yeah, Sean Payton, it's everything is the coach.
I just think about the Denver game, which was really the beginning of the end for the Jets, and how we were clearly the better team, had
Oh,
every way to win that damn game. That was the beginning of the end for Zerline too. He
yeah.
screwed us up, and Denver was just hanging by a thread. And boy, look at how things have flip-flopped since
Right.
then.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Ralph, I want to ask you, I always swear to myself I'm not going to do any what ifs, but I thought, I'm not a huge fan, but I thought Sauce Gardner had his best game last week. If
I
he
thought you were going to say this week.
no, no. If he was healthy and played today,
Yeah.
you think the Jets would have won, Ralph?
No, I don't. I think he would have been called for penalties just like DJ Reed was. I'm not. I'm at this point. I'm not a believer in him right
How
now.
about you, Ray?
Oh, I don't think he'd have made any difference. I just haven't seen enough from him to think that all of a sudden this game he would have something would have changed. But I will say that I think all our DBs are struggling um, because of the guys we lost on the defensive line. Because last year we got pressure a lot with just four guys and pressure so that the quarterback wasn't hanging on to the ball. Now we get spotty pressure. And so these DBs are now having to cover for a lot longer. And you get these elite receivers, and it's not easy. So I'm not surprised they aren't as good, but I don't think anybody you could say you would have added to the mix would have made a huge difference.
Right. I'll tell you, I wouldn't even talk about him, but Belichick and Parcells, they used to say, who's the best player in the opposition, offense and defense? We got to take that guy out of the game. Now, they didn't take like, what's his name, Garrett Wilson out. He had a good game, but Will McDonald, I didn't see him at all today.
Well, he deflected that pass. I
Uh,
can't believe that's
uh,
such jet luck that
uh,
becomes a catch in about a 20-yard run. I mean,
yeah.
it's that's just the kind of thing we've been watching for 50 years. It's just
Right.
And if that was the other way around, the guy would have tipped it, another guy would have dropped it.
yeah. No, McDonald didn't have a great game. He actually had one tackle on the edge for a run, but I feel like you get a better coaching staff in there, and they will make him a really good football player. But
Yeah.
I mean, look at Reddick. I mean, this guy has been a Pro Bowler for years, and he's doing practically nothing on this team.
Right. Yeah, you're right. All right, we're gonna close it out for Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager. Hey Ralph, I want to tell you something, Ralph. This to you. You know,
What?
you and me are not the core of Jets Rewind. It's Ray, because
Fine.
Ray has that great radio voice. But I just want to let the fans of Jets Rewind know we want to wish Ray luck. He's going in for a little procedure this week. I hope I don't embarrass you, Ray. You don't have to yell at me. Ray will be
Yeah.
Everything will work out. Ray's going to be with us next week, and so will Ralph, and we'll be on the air after we play Jacksonville. So Ray, we're all with you. So with
Thanks.
that, go ahead, Ray.
Thanks. It's a little
Okay,
bit more than a little procedure, but it's
whatever
still
it is,
it's important. So yeah.
Ray will be with us. You know, he's not going on the IR. Okay, okay. So
I'll
so
be
Like
there.
like Greg Zerline. Well, how's that for a phony baloney thing? Greg Zerline's in the IR. If that guy ever wears a Jet uniform again,
right.
I will personally march
Listen,
down to Moore
this
Park.
guy Carlson, he looks okay. He's just so freaking skinny.
Yeah, well, who cares? He kicks him
Just
nice and
like his
high and
brother.
right down the middle. That's what I want in a kicker.
Okay,
He's just like his brother out in
Yeah.
Oakland.
who's
Does
his
the same
brother?
thing. I don't know his first name. Carlson, he's a Raiders kicker for
Oh,
a few
okay,
years. But he's good.
okay, all
It's
right.
like it's like Pete Gogolak and his brother. What was
Yeah.
the other?
Okay, so with that, we're going to close it out. So for all three of us,
It's Gogolak's the brother's name. I
that's
forget.
right. For Jets Rewind, until next time.
Now I got to look it up.
Good job. Ray, I hope I didn't embarrass you. I just want to wish you luck.
No, he didn't. Are
All
we
right.
still recording?
We
It didn't
could
tell me
be.
it's
We
seven.
could be.
Are we?
Yeah, I didn't hear the lady.
I didn't hear